Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Police Accountability Show. Remember, if you're watching the Police Accountability Show, you agree to be offended. And remember, in no way does the Police Accountability Show constitute legal advice. If you have a legal problem, please reach out to your local counselor or legal representative. And welcome everybody, and I'm your host, Chad Christophers, and we're here today to talk about the looting of everybody. Civil forfeiture, asset forfeiture, policing for profit, taking property without criminal conviction is stealing 100%. This is an absolute terrible problem. I've experienced myself. I've had cops steal from me, absolutely, and there is nothing you can do about it. I'll tell you what, right? And I have looked and read about police civil forfeitures from all over the world over the last 10 years. I've been running police accountability now close to 15 years, and I've been looking at, watching, and reading police stories because the group is incredibly international. It's spread out across the United States. We have members from almost every United state. We have members from across Canada, most of the different processes, all the way through Europe, a lot of the countries there, and as well as Asia as well. So police accountability is everywhere. This group is incredibly international. After reading civil forfeiture everywhere, it's hard to really nail down one place except to say that it's wrong. I've watched videos from all over the world. Places have their own version of civil forfeiture and what's correct and what's right and what the procedure is. But the bottom line is civil forfeiture without being prosecuted is wrong. We live, at least in the democratic places where this group exists, in a place where your innocence is guaranteed until proven guilty. But that's not the way it seems to work the second it involves giving the police taking money for themselves or taking money for their budget, right? Then that's out the window. They don't care whether we've been prosecuted. They don't care nothing, and they can lie to take our money. And it doesn't matter where they run into you. It can be on the street. They could be searching your house for an unrelated thing. They could run into you on the way to and from the bank. Just wrong place, wrong time. And if you don't have a receipt to show where you're keeping any large amount of cash on you or where that's come from today, they can take it and they can keep it. And I've seen that many examples. The rich people, they have tons of problems with that. You can't go anywhere with any large amount of cash without having receipts and maybe even proving how you made the money in the first place. If the cops come in contact with you, they can take it. It is pure theft. And how do you prove the amount of cash you had on you at that time? So a lot of the times you see accusations of officers just literally making up amounts, declaring less money has been confiscated when it's actually a lot more. They just go around accusing everyone of being a criminal and then prosecuting them without charge, which is just wrong. And this is something that we need to stop. Everybody needs to stop this. Why? It's not helping anyone. Because, I'll grant you, there is circumstances where I do agree with civil forfeiture. I do agree taking it. And that is where you see the proceeds of crime. Someone who's been prosecuted. You can prove that this money came from drug dealing. Right? That makes sense. You can prove this money came from a scam. They've been prosecuted. They've seen their day in court. They've received their due process. But just taking things from people's homes, taking them large amounts of money from people on the street when they may not even have a criminal charge. And that happens. That happens all the time where people, no criminal charges, not even criminal ties. I mean, how hard it is not to have criminal ties in the world we live in. I mean, everyone's got a drug dealer on speed dial, right? You know what I mean? So we really need to stop is civil forfeiture without prosecution. That's the only time they should be allowed to take your money. And why? Because they're just taking it for themselves. They're just adding it to the police budget. And at no time should these cops be allowed to keep it for themselves. Should these officers be allowed to add it to their police budget? Because that just goes back to them in the end. So they have an incentive. They have an MO. They have a motive to want your money. You have to make them unwant the money. We have to make it more work for them to take the money. And that is by going through court, going through prosecution. There's a lot better ways than we can deal with these things. And it's just a matter of us getting together, getting the support, the democratic support, the support of the people for positive change in our communities. And a big one is civil forfeiture, right? I see it all the time. There's people fighting back, just regular citizens fighting. The police are supposed to be there to stop criminals, If you're not a criminal, if you're not involved in criminal activity and it can't be proven, you haven't received your due diligence, you haven't been prosecuted, it hasn't been proven in court, then these people should not be treating you, should not be prosecuting in that way. If you agree, if you disagree, write it down in the comments. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you feel. Right? Should this stop today? Do you agree with civil forfeiture and they should be allowed to just take our money and we fight for it back? Personally, I don't think it's really that useful. We need to find other ways to approach solving these crimes, because what we're doing clearly isn't working, because people keep doing the crimes. It will only be a deterrent when people stop committing the crime, right? So thank you so much for your time, everyone, and don't work too hard.